Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Only Football Podcast. Let me lower myself down here. I have got to say right off the bat that I am so mad right now. You have no idea. If you've ever been in any situation where you feel like you said what you wanted to say and you said it absolutely perfect, then you may know how I feel right now. I felt like I said exactly what I wanted to say. And Bill, God bless you, comes in here and tells me that my audio is all jacked up, which I totally appreciate. And that is why I am redoing this episode. And I wanted to take a moment because anytime that I step away from this podcast, whether it be for a week, whether it be for a day, I'm not sure if I have stepped away ever for a full entire week, but I want to make sure that you guys know exactly how much you guys mean to me. I wouldn't step away from this podcast if it weren't super important. And I did want to show off a little bit some of the medals that I won here in San Diego because you guys knew that I had been coming to San Diego a couple times. I mentioned I'm in San Diego. I mentioned that twice, but I never told you what I was doing here. This is a gold. Before that, I showed you a silver, and then here's a bronze. You know, I haven't shared everything with you guys when it comes to my personal story. And how I ended up here, and there will come a day in the very near future where I do share that with you guys, and I'm very excited for that intimate conversation that we're going to have. But I just wanted to take this time to thank you guys because you guys showing up, being back here makes me feel like I have your blessing to continue to do something else I'm striving to do. And you guys don't even know what that other thing is, but yet I've received your blessing. And how do I know that? Because you're back here with me. So I wanted to show you the product of your guys's faithfulness. And I want you to know that we are maybe a little over 30 days from me explaining everything to you guys about I don't want to say who I am, but a big part of my life, and that day will come very soon. As you may have heard, that this specific podcast, I wanted to talk about a subject that I woke up this morning and I felt like was really important to talk about. And that subject was about Aaron Rodgers, and I was so mad because I felt like I had said everything perfectly, but if you say it perfectly once, you should be able to say it again. Now, the question was for everybody that wasn't in the last podcast was, will we see the best version of Aaron Rodgers in 2023? And the way I said it before was there's only three options. And I think no matter if you agree that Aaron Rodgers is going to suck or you agree that he's going to be really, really good, there's only three possible outcomes. Okay? And before last year, there was only two possible outcomes, right? Because we saw Tom Brady leave the Patriots, go to Tampa Bay, win a Super Bowl. We saw Matthew Stafford leave Detroit, go to the Rams, win a Super Bowl. So when Russell Wilson left the Seahawks, we were like, Super Bowl, Broncos, Super Bowl, right? But not only did Russell Wilson not win a Super Bowl, but he did absolutely the worst of any quarterback in the NFL. So now we have three possible scenarios. Number one, Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the New York Jets, and he's going to have the worst season of his entire life. I don't believe that. Number two, Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Jets, and he's going to be, let's just say he's going to be better than what the Jets had. But they're going to go 9-8, and let's say they miss the playoffs. Or let's say they make the playoffs, with a 10-8 record or 10-7, whatever. Option number 3, Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Jets and take this team to the Super Bowl. And I understand you could micro break down. I believe he's going to do better than miss the playoffs, and he's going to do worse than make the Super Bowl. And I mean, look, especially if you're a Giants fan, right, Bill? You would hope that there's a middle ground between that, because that seems like the most likely place for Aaron Rodgers to land. But I woke up and I thought that this is a really important conversation to have. And it's not because of Aaron Rodgers' legacy or anything like that. In a way, it is. But the reason that I wanted to have this conversation is because I believe that if Aaron Rodgers, for any reason, were to go to New York when he's closer to 40 years old than he is 38 years old, and somehow will that team into a Super Bowl, even a Super Bowl appearance, can you imagine what the narrative will be about Aaron Rodgers? The narrative is going to be the Packers wasted those years. The Packers wasted Aaron Rodgers' prime. The whole thing where we are like, oh, it's cool. The Packers don't have an owner. The city owns the team, right? We say that's such a cool thing. Aaron Rodgers, let's just take a second to realize that the time in history we are at, because I spent some time yesterday live streaming the Patriots Giants Super Bowl, the first one, where the Patriots were 18-0 and got beat by the Giants. I got slapped on the wrist by YouTube, by the way, and there will be no more live streaming with a screen mirror of the game. I can't do that. I had no idea. So I got in big trouble for that. But let me just take a moment to say that when you watch a game from 15 years ago, you would be surprised on how many people you forget their name, how many players you forget their story, how many Hall of Famers are on the field. I was blown away as a person that is an advocate, lover of the game of football, how much I had forgotten in just 15 years. I couldn't even remember, players' names that once they were said, I was like, oh, God, of course I know that guy. But it just wasn't there, because we're always receiving these new players, these new college players. We're always receiving more data. And as we bring in the new information, some of the old just slips out. And I want to take this moment because we're in the off season and we are between 2 points. We are after Aaron Rodgers has been traded to the New York Jets. But we're also before anything has happened with the Jets. So this is a time that I think 10 years from now, we will be really grateful to have, an intimate conversation about what our future is going to look like here. Bill said, I hadn't considered the ownership potentially being an issue at Green Bay. At least when we screw up, we can blame the Maras. That's an interesting point. Well, yeah, you don't have the money, to manipulate the salary cap and stuff like that. So you grow up in small town, Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay, and for the most part, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to get the job done. In 2010, they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl, and it was a hell of a day. I remember being 16 years old. My brother was 18. I remember my dad gave us permission to smoke a cigar as a celebration of that game, and a new era had begun. Now, little would we know that the best quarterback, hands down the best quarterback in football at the time. I felt like most people agreed, even though Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were playing, that if Aaron Rodgers played for the Colts or the Patriots, that they would be a better team. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he was different, and he still is different. Um, Tom Brady was a winner. Tom Brady is a winner. Tom Brady won the most Super Bowls. But if you watch Tom Brady highlights, he's not Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes isn't Tom Brady. We have to get to a place in life where we feel comfortable separating quarterbacks. It is possible that some of the most talented quarterbacks don't win the most football games. That might sound like alien to a lot of people. Well, if you're the most talented, why can't you win the most? Well, sometimes the most talented people just aren't winners. Sometimes, you know, quarterbacks that win a lot win because there's a good defense and a great head coach. We could go back and forth all day, but I guess my point is that if Aaron Rodgers goes to New York and he wins a Super Bowl when he's closer to 40 than he was when he was in his early 20s playing with the Green Bay Packers, the only conversation that is going to follow is going to be, did Green Bay waste the greatest talent at the quarterback position we have ever seen? Did Green Bay literally take this talent and, let's say, I mean, with just sheer talent, Aaron Rodgers had willed the Packers to, dominate the NFC North. That's obviously goal number one. Dominate your division. Beat the Vikings, beat the Bears, beat the Lions. Okay, and then you go into the playoffs. Let's say he was good for a playoff win. But then when we get to the NFC Championship, right, Aaron Rodgers never had the team that was going to stumble into San Francisco, or San Francisco would come into Green Bay and beat the Packers. And they just never had that kind of team. Like, San Francisco has a solid team. Like right now, look at San Francisco's team. They are stacked, and they've been stacked for a while. When you look at Green Bay, you're like, I mean, just take a second to think about this. Green Bay's expectations, and when people talk shit about Aaron Rodgers, they say, oh, the 49ers beat them last year, or the 49ers went to the NFC Championship. Who did Aaron Rodgers have last year? He had Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson. I mean, like, what are we talking about here? The fucking 49ers have Christian McCaffrey. They have, I mean, just go down the list. Okay, this is the most talented roster in the NFL, but nobody cares about that. All they care about is, did you get the job done or did you not? Did you win the Super Bowl or didn't you? If you didn't, I don't want to talk about legacy, okay? But there will be a conversation about legacy. If Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets and wins the Super Bowl, the question is going to be, could you imagine if the Green Bay Packers would have had even somewhat of a good team put together? And you may push back against that, because I'm going to push back against that and say they did have a good team. There were years that I felt like they had a good team. The years with Greg Jennings, God, I can't remember, tight end, Mark, I can't remember his name right now. But the Packers had years, even last year felt like a good enough year. And then when they played the Detroit Lions, the Packers shrunk, man. Aaron Rodgers shrunk. Aaron Rodgers shrunk in a game where if they would have beat the Lions, they would have advanced to the Super Bowl. So what are we really dealing with here? Let's call a spade a spade. Aaron Rodgers has probably had opportunities to advance the Packers to the Super Bowl, and he fell short. And Aaron Rodgers has also probably pulled a team that had no business being in the playoffs to an NFC Championship. Two things can be true. He did both of those things. And that's the reason that you and I and the rest of the United States and anyone else that watches this perfect game of football have to ask ourselves, who is Aaron Rodgers? We don't know. But if you're siding on the side where he took bad teams to the NFC Championship, you're siding on the side that he's great. And if you're siding on the side that he took teams that should have went to the Super Bowl and lost in the NFC Championship, obviously you side on the latter. But depending on what Aaron Rodgers does this year with the New York Jets will ultimately decide where we all land as a population, as a people. We will all come to an agreement this year about who Aaron Rodgers is. And this is the type of pressure that I don't feel like the media is portraying. Aaron Rodgers has it very legitimate excuses, and he has very legitimate finger points at him for not getting the job done. And it's all going to crumble down into a 17-game season. What Aaron Rodgers is able to accomplish this year will ultimately tell the story about who Aaron Rodgers was as a person, whether you agree with it or not. And real quick, Bill says, I get your point, but I like Christian Watson, and I love Christian Watson too. And I meant no ill harm to Christian Watson. I love Christian Watson. I would have him on my team in a minute. I think he's getting better every game. But as far as Aaron Rodgers go, he has, I would say, the most pressure that any quarterback would ever have, because even when you pick a quarterback out of a hat, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, or not Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, whoever you pick out of the hat, they may have tried to close their career with a certain narrative, like Peyton Manning winning the Super Bowl and riding off into the Rocky Mountain sunset like John Elway. We've seen quarterbacks try to close their career with a narrative like, oh, I want that taste in your mouth to be good when I leave. But we've never seen, I don't believe in my lifetime, a quarterback with two narratives that are on both opposite ends of the scale, that depending on how this year goes, that is how we will remember this quarterback. And I think it's worth talking about. By the way, I think it's worth talking about so much that I wanted to tell you guys first that when the when the New York Jets played the Buffalo Bills on Monday night, week 1 in 2023, I will be at that game live. And I am going to be bringing content. I'm going to be at Aaron Rodgers' first game as a New York Jet. And if it were up to me, I would have been at his last game as a Green Bay Packer, but knowing the result, I'm glad I wasn't. And it's interesting. I was at Brett Favre's last game as Green Bay Packer, and you know what Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers both have in common? Their last game as a Green Bay Packer was wildly disappointing. And Brett Favre, I remember being a kid at the game, and I remember seeing around 60, 70,000 grown men just disappointed in one person. And this person was a god, my whole life. Brett Favre could do no wrong. And then you just see everybody mad at him. Almost like he let everybody down. And now Aaron Rodgers has kind of done the same thing. The difference is Brett Favre went on to take the Jets, I believe, to an AFC championship. And then the next year he took the Minnesota Vikings to an NFC championship, which tells you that Brett Favre did have some good football left in him. But he took the Packers to an NFC championship before he left. So what does it matter, right? It was like Brett Favre was a good quarterback. He wasn't great. That's what that tells you. He took the Packers to an NFC championship. He took the Vikings to an NFC championship. He took the Jets to an AFC championship. Who cares? He didn't get the job done. But he was definitely a guy that you want on your team because every fan just wants to have a chance. Every fan just wants to know that there's a seat at the table. Everybody just wants to know it's possible. What could make Aaron Rodgers different is if he wins the Super Bowl with the Jets. That'll be the first time that the Packers will have to look at the mirror and look internal and say, as a front office, as, the operation of, picking players, whatever the case is, everyone is going to have to say, how many Super Bowls? How many Super Bowls? How many Super Bowls could we have won? And Aaron Rodgers might just be lucky as hell because for all we know, Aaron Rodgers should have won the Super Bowls and he just sucked. He just dropped the ball. He just lost those games. But the second he wins the Super Bowl with the Jets, if he does, everybody that works for the Green Bay organization is going to have the finger pointing back at them, whether Aaron Rodgers fumbled those games away or not. And that is what Aaron Rodgers is playing against this year. And that is why we are going to be at MetLife Stadium week 1. And Bill, I was so excited to tell you this news because I am doing something that I've never done. I'm going to be traveling this year. I'm going to be interviewing fans of every stadium. And I have some of my schedule already planned out. I'm going to be Bills at Jets, MetLife. I already have my flight and everything, my Airbnb, my Uber, my ticket. Week 2, I'm going to be at Jacksonville. Chiefs at Jags. I really believe that this is the hardest game that the Jags are going to play this year, and I want to make sure that I'm at it. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. Week 3, Denver at Miami. So I'll go down south. I'll stay with my family. I got my dad, my brother, stepmom. I got a lot of family in Miami, so I'm going to go from the Jacksonville game down south to Miami to watch Denver at Miami. Week 4, I'm going to fly to Wisconsin, and I'm going to stay with some family up there, and I'm going to go to Detroit at Green Bay. Now, just a reminder, this is the first time Detroit and Green Bay will have played since Detroit canceled the Packers' plans to get into the playoffs, right? Remember that Week 18 game where they just beat them in spite? Well, this is the revenge game, but now we have Jordan Love. I say we. I'm a Broncos fan, but I got love for the Packers, so I'm gonna go to the Detroit Green Bay game. That's gonna be Thursday Night Football. The following Sunday, Denver at Chicago. Me and Rick are going to this game in person. Rick doesn't know it yet, but we're gonna get Rick at this game. We're going together. Rick's a Bears fan. I'm a Broncos fan. We get this game every 4 years. This is week 4. We're going to go Denver at Chicago. We're going to be at that game together. Week 5, I'm going to take a break. We're going to do a lot of streaming. Week 6, we're going to have a crazy stretch here. I'm going to be in Arrowhead for Denver at Kansas City. Week 7, I'm going to go to Denver for Green Bay, the Packers at Denver. It's a game that I hold near and dear to my heart. But if you ever wanted to know how much I love the Broncos more than the Packers, just tell me the Packers are playing the Broncos, and I don't give two shits about the Packers. So Denver is going to win that game. But then the next week, Kansas City plays at Denver. So that's a 3-game stretch right there. Week 9, Sunday Night Football, I'm flying to Cincinnati to see Buffalo at Cincinnati. This is the game that we lost Damar Hamlin. He went into cardiac arrest on the field. The game wasn't finished. This is going to be an emotional game. We're going to be there for that. I say we as a podcast. We are going to be at this game with equipment, with better cameras, with better equipment, with better speakers, with better microphones. We are going to be doing something big this year, guys. Week 10, Buffalo, Denver at Buffalo on Monday Night Football. Guess who's going to be in Buffalo? We're going to be at that game. And then week 11, Bengals at Ravens. We're going to be at that game. I'm going to be wearing a sweater that says Joe Burr. I'll show you guys that when I go live on Wednesday. It arrived in the mail yesterday. And then week 12, we're probably going to be hitting a Tennessee game. I haven't gotten to week 12 yet, but week 1 to week 11, We have 13 football games that we're going to be going to in person. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I wanted to tell you guys this first because we are going to have tremendous growth this year. We've had a lot of growth because of shorts and stuff like that. And mostly because you guys that come back and watch these episodes, you guys are just like helping our algorithm continue to grow. But we're going to see growth like we've never seen before. Because by traveling to this amount of games, we're going to have just so much content. The amount of shorts that we're going to be able to blast the internet with, it's really going to be incredible. And I'm really excited for you guys to be a part of it. We're going to set up chairs. We're going to interview fans. We're going to try their food. You guys are going to be with us for the entire thing. Like, this isn't going to be like, I'm not online and you're going to have to wait until Tuesday. Like, I'm going to set up a mother effing table outside of these stadiums, and I'm going to start my podcast outside in front of the stadium, whether it's the Bills on Monday night, or we're in Baltimore on Monday night, or we're in Denver or Green Bay or Detroit. You guys are coming with me because you guys are the reason that I'm even at this point. Okay? So you're coming with. I just wanted you to know what kind of season you're in for. You are going to see, hopefully, one of your favorite podcasts grow before your own eyes. And don't get it twisted. I know who the day ones are. I won't forget. But this is going to be a lot of fun. So I wanted you guys to know about this. I'm super excited about it. I'm actually leaving here. Let's see. I'm leaving here in about 3 hours. I got to start heading to the airport. I'll be back tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm just going to rest, recover, whatever, get used to my time zone. And on Wednesday, I'll be back in the studio. If you guys have any questions, and by the way, Bill, my man, he said, congratulations, dude. Congrats, dude. It is a lot, but it's not a lot if you love what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot, but God, I'm living a dream. You know what I mean? I honestly, there'll come a moment where I will be in the middle of traveling from Baltimore to Cincinnati, and I'm probably gonna just cry because I never thought that, I could do this with my life. And, just the way life unfolded, it's allowed me to do that. And I'm just really excited about it. And I really, one of the things I think about the most is the people that are stuck in a cubicle working a 9 to 5, that are just like, God, I want to break out of this shell that I'm stuck in. I hope they can click on my podcast and live vicariously through me. And I don't mean that in like an arrogant, condescending way. I mean, I hope that I bring them freedom from that cubicle. I hope I bring a stressed out marriage, freedom from that, fight that they're going through. I hope that I can bring peace to people, you know what I mean, through living in truth. And you guys have been here from the beginning, so I mean this authentically, but we are going to we're going to break ground this year. And I'll never forget that you guys were the ones that got us to this point. And if you guys are new to this channel, now would be a great time to subscribe to the channel, because shit's about to get real. You can follow me at FTBLONLYPODCAST, Football Only Podcast, and my partner, who I will be back with soon, at And Now Rick, ANDNOWRICK. Can't wait to have you back, my man. And yeah, man, just subscribe, share it with anybody that you want to, whatever. We're a friendly group here, and Bill, Jinja, the day ones, man, I just can't thank you enough. You guys are amazing, and I can't wait to share more with you very soon. And that very soon day will be on Wednesday. We're, just a day and a half away from that. So I'll be back in the studio. You guys are amazing, and I can't thank you enough. So I will see you guys in a day and a half. And as always, go Broncos.